do this, man. Let's do this.
Let's
So
rock
this is Creative Pickings. What is Creative Pickings? We pick everyone's creatives during the show. So you are an entrepreneur. I did a bit of research on you. I find your resume online. Are you aware of this?
No.
That your resume.
I know it's on it. I haven't looked at it, so
it's got stuff all the way from 2000, man, or no, even before 1996.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, I looked it up, and you have been a creative director for a really long time, an art director.
Yeah. So I was in advertising, I think all together now. I retired at 20 years, so it's a good cutoff. Just before
20 years.
20 years in the game. So I started off as an art director, studied at an art school, and then kind of moved my way up and just did it for 20 years. Learned a lot of branding and, what works and what doesn't work. And it was a lot of fun. I got to travel and do a lot of cool stuff, met a lot of great people. And again, that's where the creative juice is, and it taught us how to kind of manage our craziness. Because you, as a creative, as you know, you don't stop thinking.
Manage your craziness. Because you're always like, oh, I've got something new. And it just keeps going.
I was actually telling a buddy of mine when I was in Toronto recently that I remember the first time I watched a movie recently that I did not look for boom mics. I didn't look at continuance. Like, the shirt was unbuttoned and then it was buttoned and unbuttoned.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's my job.
Man.
A lot of my job, especially when we do commercials, I have to watch out for that. So that's insanity in itself. And then watching a movie and not really watching a movie, you're coming up with ideas, quote unquote, inspired by it.
Yep.
Now I can actually watch a movie and enjoy the movie. And it's amazing feeling. It was such
and
a great
analyze it and be like, what can I get out of this?
No, it is, because when you get a brief in advertising, when you get briefed on a project, you and your partner, you kind of do your work in the office and then you spread out and you go home and they go home, your partner goes home, but you're constantly thinking in the shower, everything, cooking, everything. You don't know when it's going to pop. That idea is like, oh my God, I got it. And you just write that stuff down, right? They even tell us in school, just carry a tape recorder, especially by the side of the bed, right? Because you never know.
Whoa.
But they also teach you about creativity is that, if you never rode the subway, ride the subway. If you never listen to jazz, listen to jazz.
Yeah.
All this stuff. So I took that to heart and I actually started doing all that stuff. But it takes its toll after 20 years. You can't really fully enjoy something because you're kind of like, I wonder if that would work with our client. Oh yeah, that might be, and oh no, that's not it, right? So, yeah, but that's my resume. I guess my resume does go way back then.
I didn't realize that you were bred that way. Is that from school? Is that just yourself or
school?
Like your peers?
A lot of it's school.
Like that?
Well, the school that I went to in Toronto is a really well-known school for art directors and advertising, right? So we had really great instructors that were still in the business, and they were like their own creative directors or their heads of the creative department. Yeah. So they taught us their tricks. And this is before, it's going to age me, but before computers was really a big thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was pen and paper. So they were always kind of teaching us how to come up with ideas. So it was great. And it's like filling up, they say you're filling up a warehouse. Just fill it up.
Wow.
You might not know when you'll need it, but 5 years from now, it'll be there. And it's like, oh my God, I remember this book that I read, blah, 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 blah. So that really helped me with the business too, right?
You must have books and books or like a bunch of journals of just random ideas.
I have tons of journals at home. I haven't, funny enough, I haven't went back. I didn't look at them yet.
Imagine though, right? The gold nuggets you could find in there.
A lot of like ideas and sketches because you come up with a lot of ideas and then you sort of have to, it's a term, I don't know, it's a weird term, but kill the babies, right? You have to kill the babies because you fall in love with every idea that's on a wall.
Okay.
That it's your little baby and you hold on to it, but they tell you got to kill the baby sometimes to get that one, right? So a lot of us creatives in the advertising game, we have to let go of stuff. Even though we love the idea, you let go. But then that's what the journals are for. You look back in your sketches, it's like, oh my God, I remember that.
Recycle that, right?
Yeah. I did remember seeing one of my books back in college, and I did see a commercial that I did. I can't remember. It was for SpaghettiOs. It was like alphabet.
Yeah.
It's like that noodle thing that has the alphabet. Yeah, I remember alphabet soup or whatever. Right. So it was kind of, I remember I had to do a commercial for that in school, but it was kind of funny looking back. I'm like, man, that was so bad. That was so bad. What was I thinking?
But that just means you've grown
I
out
have
of
a feeling
it,
a
man.
lot of creatives, they don't look at their stuff in the past because it's very
cringy.
cringeworthy.
Yeah, very
It's very
cringeworthy.
cringeworthy. You might have been thinking, oh man, this is award winning. But really, it was so far from it.
I mean,
so.
you could have won an award back then, but then you think about it now and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
that was no good.
It was so bad.
But I think that's like in your field, which you did for 20 years, it evolves dramatically over the years, right? Especially with the advancements of technology, right?
It does.
Or would you say it's the same stuff?
No, still, I think it does to a point. But for me, being old school, I used to do, I did a couple of teaching things for like some students, like kind of workshops, and I would tell the students that don't start on the computer. By the time you start your computer, I could have came up with 20 ideas, kind of thing, right? So might as well just leave the computer off for now and just kind of sit down and write down some ideas and get it out, So I still start off fresh in the beginning, and then when I start getting nuggets, I'm like, okay, let me kind of play around with this. Then I'll turn on the computer and start playing around with like say if it's a logo design, or is it, in my case, it was like either a commercial or print ad or now like social media idea, you know what I mean? So then you start turning on the computer and you kind of play around with it, and then you start researching to see if that idea ever anybody else did it, so on and so forth. But yeah, so I still think it's start from the basics and it doesn't hurt, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
How do you declutter? Kind of like what you mentioned earlier, you got to kill the babies. How do you figure out like, hey, this is it, like this idea is it? Like even the Refine, for example, like this room, this business, how did you come to decide that like this is it? This is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to focus on. And this is the vision. Yes, the investors may have different ideas, but this is the vision, man.
Yeah. I really picked on the target, and I stuck to that target group that I'm trying to hit. But at the same time, I'm also smart enough to let it organically grow and listen to the clients and hear their feedbacks and what they want. It's, it's like with everything, you're not, for me, who am I to say that this is it, the perfect, that's where it's going to be, this is what we're going to offer. No, you gotta have to really listen to clients and say, hey, did you ever think of doing this? I really want this, or blah, blah, blah. And you kind of, really organically let it grow and takes its shape. Again, you're just giving birth to the baby. But the baby, if you nurture it as much, it'll grow, take care of more, and it grows up by itself. You're not making it grow, you're just nurturing it, right? So that's what I think we've done here.
That's what's
at the
happening.
Refine.
Yeah,
organically. Like the poker table came about that one of the members just said, hey, I love poker, and we started playing. I'm like, yeah, I watched YouTube channels of Texas Hold'em, and maybe my friends would play. And then he goes, you know what, you should have one here. And I said, well, the whole legal thing. He goes, no cash game, just fun.
Yeah.
I said, really? Would you play? He goes, absolutely. It's a great way, as you know, it's a great way to get to meet them. I said, that's great. So,
I like that.
And then we got the table. Like probably, I think we got the table the week after. We
Let's
gave
just
it a try.
it out, right? Yeah.
And again, let it try. And now it's starting to pick up. And we had a game last week, and the members got to know each other. Again, when you sit down, you have to introduce yourself anyway. So it's like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
And then you start talking, and during the plays, you start saying, hey, what do you do for a living? Blah, blah, blah. So it's a great way to network. So again, that's where the poker table came out. And then organically, the poker table, I moved it to the front because I realized, hey, they can work on that. Like somebody's not playing poker, come here with your laptop. Now there's an actual table.
That's a working table.
And then a few of them can sit around it, and they can have that as a meeting table. So
That's
again,
interesting. It's just an organic way of letting it grow.
You know what I mean?
You don't really decide that off the spot.
No, yeah, exactly. Trust me, if you try to like control that and try to make, this is how it's going to be, and I want this, seriously, you will go insane. Like I know for myself, my brain can only handle so much. For sure. But if I had to control every aspect of the business, then that's going to be pretty tough.
I'm sure that's what you learned in the 20 years in advertising.
Yeah, that is.
Because you're working with teams, you're working with a lot of people.
Working with teams, and that's, again, killing babies and letting go of it and not over-analyzing it too much. And also in advertising, you do work with colleagues, and you get their feedback, and you accept that feedback, and you're okay, all right, that sounds pretty cool. So it's the same thing here. Right. So, yeah.
You had a grooming studio. It was called Mankind.
Yeah.
That was a concept that's kind of like this, right? Kind of like the Refine, or
Yeah.
Like,
So
what
that
did you
was-
learn from that? Because you had to sell that off eventually. And then,
I did, yeah. So I
Yeah.
did that. I think now it's 11 years. I started 11 years ago in Toronto. So
you knew you wanted to do something like this?
no.
Oh,
No.
okay. So,
Oh no. So
Wow.
wait, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. There was something when I was in advertising,
yeah.
when I was working with clients, and I think a lot of art, creatives would say this when the client leaves the room. It's like, oh man, if I just had their business, this is how I would
Yeah.
run this. Thing. And there's that
Yeah, yeah.
frustration. It's like, oh man, if I
I
only
can
had my
do it
business,
better.
I
Yeah.
can do better.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, basically what I did. I took that challenge. But I also,
Yeah.
I think I said that and I kind of thought about it. It's like, maybe I have that entrepreneurial blood. My background, my family background in the Philippines, a lot of them are entrepreneurs. So I'm
There
like,
you go.
maybe there is. And the way that happened is somebody approached me to do a logo for an idea for a men's club. He ended up not doing it. He kind of
Oh.
backed out.
Wow.
But I did so much research behind it to come up with just the logo and the branding. I fell in love with the idea. So when I launched it, I first asked him, is it okay if I launch it? And he goes, yeah, totally. I think he just didn't think it was going anywhere. And then I launched it, and it was the very first men's grooming lounge in Toronto ever.
Wow.
Like the only competitors we had that was men's was a barbershop. And that's what I was kind of going
It's
against.
not-
I was
it's
actually creating
unofficial
the
though, right?
evolution
Yeah.
of the barbershop.
Next
So
level.
that's coming out, and people were like, there was a lot of criticism that I was charging $45 when this going rate for a barbershop was 20 bucks.
yeah.
Right? But now, fast forward 10 years later, there's a slew of them. Like when I say there's a slew, there's so many of them.
And you were just
they're
back there
all,
too,
yeah,
right?
and they're all charging 50 bucks. And you know what I mean?
50 bucks,
Yeah, and I
that's
was
a
just
thing,
there
man.
and I saw it. And I actually
Yeah,
went
yeah.
back to my original concept and I saw it and it was nice. It's still there.
wow.
Yeah, so
Nice.
I kind of took a step away from it and focused on advertising. And yeah,
Cool.
and then I got brought back to it when my brother-in-law's brother from the Philippines was in Toronto. And he said, hey, you want to play golf? And I said, yeah, of course I'm going to play golf. I love golf. So we played, and I realized the golf game was more of a business pitch. And that's when he approached me and says, hey, what's your involvement with Mankind? I told him, not involved anymore. What was your role in it? And I said, well, I'm the founder and a creator of it. He goes, you got to go to the Philippines. I said, really?
There we go.
I said, well, I go to the Philippines and party, but what do you mean?
Yeah.
And he goes, you got to check it out because there's something big happening in the Philippines. There's a lot of business opening, but the barbershop alone, Mankind would do so well. So I think 3 months later, I actually took an ocular, jumped on a plane for 2 weeks only, and that was the shortest period I ever spent in the Philippines. And I did a walkabout and basically came up with a conclusion what was needed in the Philippines, which was not Mankind, because it's overly saturated with barbershops.
Yes.
There's a lot.
Yes,
There's
yes,
so much. So I wanted to take it to the next level, hence the name The Refine. So The Refine is the refined version of Mankind. So I took the learnings, the things that worked and didn't work at Mankind, and I modified it, fixed it, and launched The Refine.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why you see The Refine now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's continuously evolving since we met. I still remember, man. Like, because when you come in here, people think it's a bar and a barbershop.
Yeah, I
But
think everyone thinks
it's-
first it's a barbershop.
Yeah.
And that's like the main thing. He's like, oh, you're a barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
And then they really quickly realize that we only have one barber chair, and that barber chair is only for straight razor shaves and tattoos.
Yep.
Right? So we don't even sit on barber chairs. And then when you actually do the services, it's more than a haircut. It's way beyond. It's refined, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
There's
the next
nothing
level.
quite like it. Like, I've tried a lot of different, like, salons, barbershops
Yeah.
around Manila. There's nothing quite like the Refined. But I have to ask you, like, what was it like transitioning? Because you built Mankind in Toronto. What was it like building the Refined here in the Philippines, and like that transition? Because you've never lived here. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you visited a lot, but you've never lived here and worked.
It was hot. It was so hot. It
How
still
was
is
it?
hot. It's still really hot. That's probably still, I don't think I'll get used to.
Yeah.
I like summer, but I also love fall, that cool air. I think also because of fashion. I like fall.
Fall
'Cause
fashion's the
you do a
best.
lot of layering and stuff, which you can.
Yep.
Which I did it recently, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But the transition was actually a lot easier than people thought it was going to be, and I'm pretty much of an optimist.
Yeah.
So I was always thinking positively. and people thought I was crazy.
These people are great. These people are
yeah,
awesome.
like, oh, you're not going to open up in this time. You're not going to, and I did. The training was actually far more easier than it was even in Toronto. And
training of the staff, you mean?
The training of the staff,
Great.
Because they're looking for that guidance. They're looking for that knowledge, not just thrown into a business and say, okay, do it, and then walk away as an owner. Don't even show up at the space. For me, I'm here every single day. But when we're training, I'm actually training them the reason why they do it. And in the beginning, obviously, it was it was difficult for them because they're not used to that. They were never taught that. And then I said, you got to trust me. And now they when they do it, they know why we do it that way. And our members really appreciate that attention to detail and that moment of like, you're our only client right now and nobody else is around kind of mentality, right? So they trusted that and it's happening right now and they love it. So it was a lot easier because they were hungry for that knowledge anyways.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have to share an experience I had here where because normally we schedule the times, right? Like I don't want to just walk in.
Yeah.
So I usually schedule a time with whoever coordinates, but it was May at the time. So I said, I'm going to show up at 2:00 to get a haircut, but I got to bounce right away. I've got a meeting. So is that okay? Like, yeah, no problem. So as soon as I got here, I was here at 2:01. Super OC. And I sat down there like, hey, Drew, do you want like a drink first? I'm like, no, I'm just here to get a haircut. I'm like, sorry to rush you guys. But Ricky was handling another client. So I'm like, okay. Well, guys, I can come back. It's just, I've got to go somewhere else. I'm like, no. So they did what they had to do. Ricky was able to do the haircut. I was on time. Long story short, May apologized to me afterwards. She's like, hey, really sorry. I know you scheduled for 2 p.m. Next time we'll try our hardest to make sure we meet your timeline. And at first I was frustrated, but like when you're getting a haircut, you're like, I don't even give a shit. But the fact that she apologized, like, who taught you this? Like, why are you apologizing to me? And I told her, I super appreciate you. I hope you don't think I'm like a because I'm like, giving you a hard time. I wasn't giving her a hard time, but I was like, why am I here if you're not ready for me, right? She apologized, and she was like, it'll never happen again. We'll try our best. I was like, wow, that's awesome.
It's because a Canadian trained them. Us Canadians.
But how does that feel knowing that your staff do that, right? Because I'm sure no one told you about that.
They did tell me.
Oh, they did tell me.
They did tell me, and I said in the beginning of the training from the very get-go, a year ago or 10 months ago, the way I trained them is that you will make mistakes. It's okay. You will have clients that are actually running late that affects the other person, and you're trying your best to accommodate both. Just just make the person aware of what's going on. Like make the member know, okay, this is what's happening, and give them information, because the most frustrating thing in customer service is no one's talking to you and you're just kind of like, okay, does anybody see who I'm here? And then at the end, apologize. Like all you have to do is apologize.
It's so easy,
okay. Right? You know what I mean? It's like people are not, just as long as you like say sorry and hey, don't worry, that's on us right now. Like, it's okay to do that. I always say that with a mistake, it's actually a really great opportunity to really build a loyal person because of how you handle it.
Oh, totally.
But trust me, I've experienced the opposite here and also in Toronto. Don't get me like,
everywhere around the world.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And I took all that stuff as a learning, I think. Even my personal life experiences going to restaurants or salons or wherever. I kind of built it as, okay, what would I do in that, or what would I want in that situation? So that's just really how they're trained, and they're trained well. And they tell me, and at first they would be, I remember in the beginning when something,
right?
they were but now they say, okay, this is what happened, we did this, but this is the reason why. And I said, okay, no worry. Just as long as you handle it, and did you handle it well? Yes. Okay, and that's it.
Nothing can ever be that detrimental anyway. It's never that bad.
It's business. Stuff happens all the time, but it's businesses that don't handle it. That's the problem. That's where the ball is dropped and makes it even 10 times worse. And really, it wasn't that worse. I know for me, I get frustrated when I complain, and all I get is, sorry, sir. Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
But there's no explanation.
There's
Give
no
me an explanation. Tell me what happened.
Right?
There's no accountability. But again, not at the fault of the person that's saying sorry.
It's the person that trained them, right?
The person who trained them, the owners. they rely on you to train them. And if you don't, that's the answer they're going to get. So for me, if we get bad service, it falls back on me. Just that's the bottom line, right? No matter what.
That's the sack in the for a lot of owners.
And that's true, right? It is. And that's how business needs to be handled. I'm sorry, but it's a lot of businesses are not handling it. And it's easy fixes. Like not just in the Philippines, but in Toronto, I've seen it. I've experienced it just recently. And it's like there's the owner or the manager or whoever's training them could have done a better job. And that's what it is.
Interesting. Yeah. What do you like best about having moved here business-wise? Like, what were some awesome positives? Like, let's see, even in the people and the business in general, even the clientele. I
think, in a nutshell, really, and it's not really a moment. Well, actually, it was a moment I got, but what it was, one of the main reasons why I went to the Philippines was to give back to my parents. Bottom line.
Wow.
Like, I recognized that when they were 21, I think my dad was 22, my mom was 21. Actually, the other way around, my mom's older. So my dad goes for older women. They moved to Canada and gave up everything for us kids, right? All their friends, their family, that security, that things that they knew and took a chance on it. So for me, coming back to the Philippines after all the sacrifice they did, it was the least I can do to have them part of it. And even my dad has shares that I gave him to say, now you are an owner in the Philippines.
Cool.
And one of the things I want to open up is in Angeles, in Clark, because that's where they're from, Pampanga. Yeah. So it's very, very important to open up there. And again, that way they can look back at their life and say, it was all worth it.
That's sweet, man.
So that's it. And the moment happened when my dad came to visit. And he walked in and I saw my mom's and dad's face and they're like, oh man. And my dad was like, they were obviously proud.
I'm sure.
And it was theirs. And it was like, I can feel that it was like a rewind flashback of their life and realize
what's it all for, right?
That was all, that's why we did it. And boom, back to the beginning. And and they're still 100% supportive in everything that I do here and the plans that I have. And so that's probably the moment, was that why I'm here and why I'm staying here, and this is my home base.
I hope we have more of those, man. Those are amazing. That's an
it's great.
Story.
They're awesome.
I don't know if I've had that. Do you think you have, 'cause I get asked this, or I get told this sometimes, like, oh, Gio, you're Canadian, so you have a privilege. When you move here to the Philippines, you're very privileged. I'm opposed to that, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that. Being a Canadian, knowing your business practices, your ways, your ethics, and moving here, do you think that was an advantage?
Is there an advantage to being Canadian?
Being a Canadian Filipino, living in the Philippines, moving here, doing business, and just
I don't think privilege. I'm not privileged at all. It's actually the opposite. I'm actually starting from the beginning and learning their culture and doing that. But the advantage is I do know a lot of stuff that works and doesn't work in Canada, in a first world nation or first world country, that I feel like, okay, if we just implement this, if we just did this, then that's going to help the business in the situation that we're in. So that's a bit of an advantage. I find I don't stress as much, I think, because I know there's a solution, because I've seen it before, I've done it before, being in Canada and having a business there. So that's a bit of the advantage. Somebody said best, and I love it, that the Canadians or Americans or Europeans that have moved here to start businesses, it's like we're in a 10-year time machine. Rewind back, and we're able to implement things 10 years ago, because Philippines is still catching up on a lot of stuff. So we're able to say, oh, that already happens in this, let's launch this. Oh, we've done this, launch that. So that's a really cool thing. I'm actually finding the opposite, that with our membership program here, it's a slower growth, because in North America, it's subscription basis. It's normal.
Everyone does it,
But that's new here. So it's a slower growth. I find the majority of our members, our expats, or but like buy-ins and stuff. So they know it's like, oh, subscription, absolutely. I mean, they know the value of it. They know what it comes along, the privileges that it comes along with, and it's like, hell yeah, I'm doing it. You know, I'm not, like right now, Anytime Fitness and Fitness First in the gyms are doing the subscription. But I even think that they'll be even more busier if people really understood what, oh man, definitely. I can do this. So again, it's
in 10 years time, man, you're gonna fly.
Yeah, I know. Let's wait 10 years, hopefully sooner.
Yeah, super excited for that. People need to know how you started Refine, because I know you dropped everything in Toronto, moved here, you were given an opportunity. How are you able to start? Because I'm sure a lot of our listeners may or may not be business owners, may or may not be expats who want to move here, check it out, or they've been thinking about it, but it's like, yo, how do I even start? Where do I find the money? Who do I partner with? Like, what was your experience like?
My experience was, I was looking for investors. That's the route I took. In Toronto, I didn't take that route. I went the banking way with a business loan. But the Philippines is obviously so different here. So you can't do that here. But in Canada, you obviously can. It's a lot easier they actually encourage startups, and they really instigate startups to start their businesses. So it was super easy here. But coming here, it was really having a pitch deck on an iPad and meeting lots of people.
You just had a pitch deck.
And just kind of, hey, this is the idea I have.
How did you meet the people? Like, you just go to bars?
Just one person. I met one person. After I met with them and they were interested, I said, if you know anybody else, please let me know. And I basically just networked the hell out of it. I just really just kind of went out and said, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And the feedback was fantastic. It was actually amazing, the response that I got for the investors. And a lot of the investors, not that I was super picky and choosy kind of thing, but I did also want to look for investors that can add to the business more than money. It was never about,
interesting,
you're going to be a partner because you have a lot of money. I actually turned down a really big investment, but the stipulation to it was just myself and him, partners, and no one else.
Oh, wow.
And this investment was going to be big. And I turned it down. And instead I went the longer route and try to be patient.
That's a risk, man, because you could have gone, you could have launched.
No, it wasn't a risk, because I knew the idea was so awesome, the feedback, that it was going to happen. It was a question when, but it was going to happen. But that's also...
Because that's like the temptation, right? There's a little nugget in your face. You're like,
here it is.
I want to get it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would turn it down again if I had to. Yeah. So there's...
That takes a certain character, man. I would have.
It's the trust that you have for the product that you're launching. And again, if majority of people are saying that it's a crappy idea, then it'd be a different story.
Yeah.
But because the feedback and how quickly it's very hot, piled on the investors, and their background, their expertise was amazing. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. So it was an easier thing. Yeah, I had to be patient. That patient was hard because, when I came here, it was only supposed to be for 3 months. I don't know if I ever told you that. I still had a job back in Toronto.
While you're here?
Yeah, and my job, my company gave me a 3-month sabbatical, let's call it sabbatical, to do this, to open up the business, because that was part of the deal to sign me on full time, because I didn't want to sign full time, but they really wanted me to be part of the company full time. So, and I love the company, and the creative director that hired me is my mentor, and I love him to death, and I owe a lot to how I run my team to him.
Wow.
So I said, okay, it's 3 months. I'll be back. And he goes, yeah, go for it, do it. So I went, and then one of my investors and other investors actually concurred that the only way they would invest is that I was the CEO.
Yeah.
And then I had to make a decision.
Damn, that's tough.
So within 24 hours, I made the decision, and the universe spoke out loud. And the next day, I was unemployed and basically no savings at all coming here. Like, my savings was enough for the 3 months. That's it.
Wow.
It wasn't supposed to extend that.
Yeah.
And that had to extend. We didn't open up, I think, until maybe 8 months while I was here. So 5 months of nothing.
What are you going to do?
No money. So beg, borrow, steal, family, friends. They really, truly believed in me. and everything they do. So
Definitely not privileged, my friend.
No, there's zero. So you have to learn how to eat ramen. Right? You have to eat ramen. So
live off of noodles or anything that expands in water. Right?
Yes, and expands in your belly and makes you full for a little while. That's a good thing to buy.
How do you know not? Because if you have investors, you get a chunk of money. Hey, Noel, here's what you work off of. What like. You can't touch that pot, right? Like that's going towards the business. You can't touch that to eat, right? Like
no.
That's hard though,
it's
isn't
on
it?
The bank, it's like
that's crazy.
No, but the thing is, I had family and friends that support. Like they really believed in me. So it's not like we're starving.
Borrowing some money. It's
Absolutely.
like, hey man, you got you.
You know, my best friend, love him to death. You know, he supported me emotionally in every way. My parents, you know, financially, they were there for me and. Because they knew I was driven. This is going to happen with or without you.
Man.
You know what I mean? So they knew that, and they were so happy for me because my life prior wasn't the perfect life that I was living. I was able to kind of rewrite or actually write a new chapter in my life that exactly how I want to write it. The one previous life before, I wasn't fulfilled. So, so doing that switch, my parents and my friends saw that. Oh my God, he finally found it. He found his niche. Let's carry him and let's support him and they've been there ever since, man. And it's amazing. Even to this day, me and my best friend have like not jokes. Actually, we put in the universe all these things that we want to do, and you know, so yeah, it's good.
When you were in advertising, did you have a comfortable lifestyle? Like, were you driving a nice car? Were you staying in a nice place? Were you in a suit every day?
I had the
income was good, yeah?
The income was very good. It was extremely good. But it wasn't. It was good. Like at the time I was married. Yeah. I have 2 kids. Yeah. I had the nice house, the whole picket fence. Yeah. Kind of story. Had a nice car and all that stuff, but. I wasn't happy. I wasn't 100% happy. I felt like something was missing. So just looking back at my life, it's like, you know, I mean, something was missing. So it was I'm like, okay, what's going on? So when we got divorced, it was like a wake up call. So, okay, the universe is listening. Now, that's it. Wow. This is your chance. Do it now. And I can't remember how old I was. I think it was about 43 at the time when I got divorced. So it was like, this is it. Yeah. Now you're not young anymore. So, but I was very thankful, and you know, I still see my kids. I mean, they live in Toronto, which is the hardest part. That's the biggest sacrifice to date by moving here. But they know that their dad is doing this for a reason.
Living the dream, man.
It's living the dream or making the dream a reality. And I always I tell my kids, I'm building a legacy for you guys. So. You know, this is why I work hard, and it's not about the money. Really, it's not about the money. It's about creating a legacy, because the money will come. Yeah. But the legacy, you have to focus on the legacy, and and the kids on the set. But they see how happy I am now compared to before. Yeah. I was not happy at all. I guess I didn't know at the time. I thought this is normal life. That was married life, but it wasn't. Like I was. Interesting. I think I was like the heaviest I got was 215 pounds.
Holy
very
man.
Big,
dude.
And not work. That wasn't working out. That was just, I guess, sad.
Became stagnant. So
yeah. And I didn't put myself first. And now, after that, that's it. And that's why I feel that my friends and family 100% support me, because they see that, oh my God, he's alive. He's
glowing, man.
So it's good.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
The reason I asked you about the finances thing too is because when you moved here and you went through that, like the no income for 5 whole months, it's hard. Like when you're used to, eating good food, having a nice ride, or just living a bit like that standard of lifestyle, and to have to go so low. And I mean, this place hasn't even opened yet. You're not seeing any results. How do you is your belief system just that strong? Like you're just I have so much faith.
Yeah, because if I'm gonna leave my kids and my family behind, and then I'm not gonna complain.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. It's like I'm not gonna miss that life, right? I'm here for a reason, so the sacrifice is gonna be worth it. But with sacrifice comes big reward. So it was kind of like, the more painful it was and the more hardship we got, the more excited I was, because it's like,
you're a masochist.
Here's the ticket. Here's the ticket to the entrance fee to my legacy to my success is this, right? Because they always say it's not easy. So you have to pay an admission fee, and that's my admission fee. So every time I had to eat ramen, or, you know, we didn't have enough money for this, and whatever reason, we weren't living the life that we lived before, it actually confirmed that we were doing the right thing.
Dude.
So I don't know
as long as it hurts.
I don't know if it's a masochist.
Yeah, man,
maybe it is, but it was.
So.
But it also fed the desire and the
drive.
hunger. Yeah.
Wow.
Like somebody said once that someone who knows how to eat, you know, that lives off ramen, and they have that drive, they will be successful because they know there's nothing. That's like, where else are you gonna go from that? So that's the hunger. But when you are given so much stuff and you come from an extremely wealthy family, and I feel it's harder because the motivation is not as there. As you can see with even athletes, as soon as they hit a certain pinnacle, their career goes tanks down because why try hard now, right?
I was just listening to Kobe Bryant's podcast with the house, and it's like when he stopped, when he retired, he didn't go to the gym for like a good 6 months.
He gained a lot of weight, and he even said,
because there's no point. I'm in a gym, but I've got no more playoffs, man. Who am I going to beat?
Exactly.
That's tough.
So it's kind of like where I'm at now. I'm actually really enjoying this moment.
Small success rate. Yeah.
Every day is, you know, if I can survive it, then wow, I'm closer to that. And while I'm doing that, we're planning and building and.
Yeah. Where are you guys going next? Like, where is the Refined brand going next?
Everywhere. No, really everywhere.
Everywhere.
No, that's the plan. I mean, that's the plan, is that we do have basically a launch plan for the next 5-6 years, that where we're going and expanding a lot. Obviously, Philippines is a big part of it. So
did you see this happening?
Yeah.
You knew this was going to happen, like the whole expansion thing.
Oh yeah,
You're crazy, man.
I wouldn't move to the Philippines for nothing, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't have come here for one branch, right? Like, honestly, and my investors are smart too. They wouldn't invest in one branch only, right? Because you're not gonna. How much success are you gonna have in one branch?
Of course, yeah.
It's the multiple, it's the build, the legacy, and again, I feel like we're not even creating a brand. It's gonna be really kind of weird saying this, but it's a movement that we're creating here at the Refine, and people are starting to see that, or the more I talk about it and they start really seeing, we're not building brands, we're building a movement of, you know, what we're trying to create. It's a lifestyle. It's how a gentleman should be. And I always say that we're building gentlemen. You walk in a man and you leave a gentleman kind of thought. And a lot of it is, that's why we do the events and we do the workshops and we do the networking, and we try to surround ourselves with really good guys. And I remember getting asked this on launch day. We had media here, and a reporter asked me, like, why are you doing this? I said, because we need more gentlemen in this world.
No.
And she teared up because it was at the pinnacle of the Harvey Weinstein. But it's true. Yeah. Like, unless you were sleeping, I think every gentleman should have been embarrassed to be a gentleman at that moment because of what was happening.
True.
So for us, we're creating that movement here that we're trying to change it. Like, the fact that I could not call this a gentleman's club, but we had to call it a grooming lounge is ridiculous.
Wait, why is that?
Why? Well, because in the Philippines, a gentleman's club is...
Okay. Yeah.
And that's not what it's about. And we're not about that.
I never even thought about that too, but
that's how bad it got.
Yeah.
That you can't, a gentleman is not that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A gentleman is not that person. But yet they took that name, gentleman club.
Associate gentlemen's club. So gentlemen are automatically playboys or whatever.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
But we're not.
Oh, wow.
And that's why it was sad, but also confirmed what I was thinking of why we're doing this, is because we need to start changing that mindset. So again, we're building gentlemen here. We're respectful. The ones that we want here love their wife, love their girlfriend. They're not having marital affairs and on the side, whatever they would talk about. And that was really big in the Philippines. Even when I used to come here to visit, I would get that advice from uncles, like, hey, you know, it's better to have many, many girlfriends. I'm like, what? What is that? You know what I mean?
They joke about that?
They would joke about that, but then I was raised by my mom and dad who are they're celebrating their 50th.
Congrats.
November 10th.
Wow.
But they're still madly in love. They still hold hands and they can't.
That's beautiful.
You know what I mean? So I was raised by a father that was in love with his wife, did not have the extramarital, none of that stuff ever. not even like we know that. It's like he's so obsessed with my mom. It's ridiculous, but I love it. But that's how I was raised, right?
That's inspiring, man. Yeah.
We need to get back to that because that's what a gentleman is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're trying to become is really the evolution, the real gentleman's club. And I think that's where we're getting there because I really, all our members are amazing. They're so amazing. Like every single one of them, they actually make my job so much easier coming in here every day. I get to talk to them and hear their story, and it's awesome and inspiring. So it's like a bunch of my buds just hanging out. And that's, again, the poker table and the way it's set up is meant to kind of lounge around. So yeah, it's good.
Wow. I love that, man. I never thought of like the refined as a movement for gentlemen. That's inspiring.
It is.
Yeah. That's really cool. More people need to come here and spend the money and just figure that out.
It's up to them. It's up to them.
I love it.
It's up to them. I mean, it's a word of mouth kind of thing. It's what level, where you are in life and what you find important. But I find that even our members, as soon as they walk in, I talk to them, I already know right the moment I talk to them, they're going to join the membership. I already know it.
Yeah.
And there's ones that I know
it's the type of person,
There's ones I know that we talk about the membership, there's not even point telling it. And which is fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Of course.
It's just that's not our clientele. We're really hitting the 1%. And when I say 1%, we're not looking at the 1% rich. Mm-hmm. We're looking at 1% that think differently, right? They see the world differently. They see their life differently. They treat people differently the way they're supposed to treat. That's the 1% that we're going after. So you can see them when they walk in. There it is. Here's one. Right, it's awesome. It's so exciting to hear that.
I need to pick the brains of more of the people that come here.
There is amazing. You can do so many interviews here. We have so many people here that are so inspiring and the things that they're doing right now. And a lot of them are like minds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's a great story in itself, right? It's a story of adventure and a slightly different flavor. But final question for you. I wanted to know what keeps you creative. Like you've already established yourself here and you're expanding, but how do you maintain that brain practice?
Dude,
man?
you don't stop it.
Are you still doing what you did 20 years ago where you're just like writing ideas nonstop?
I know what's going on next 20 years on this business.
Really?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of plans already and people are surprised that I already built the deck already and like, because that's why I'm here. Like that's why people are, my friends and family said, this man, he's hit his niche.
Okay.
Because it's exactly what I trained for 20 years was to do this. And so 20 years ago I was taught this and I still do it with all the ideas that we do and all the ideas, okay, we can do this, we got to do this, I'm probably guilty of coming up with so many ideas. Oh, we got to do this, but I can't really stop that.
That's creativity isn't your problem.
No, no, time is not enough time.
Wow.
There's sleep. You got to sleep but that's probably the hardest part is.
If you had to do this 20 years ago, do you think you'd be able to achieve it?
No, man.
So you needed that time.
I needed the 20 years. I actually needed, because I opened up Mankind 10 years into my career.
Right.
I needed that
in order to
do this also. So everything that I did actually played a really, really integral part of what I'm doing now and how I handle things.
Interesting.
That's it. So I would not rewind and say, oh man, I wish I did this 20 years. No way.
Because you sound just so sure. Now I want to know what the 20-year plan is.
We'll tell after the mic is off and the camera is off.
It's a secret, guys.
It's a huge secret. But but you have to do it. Like when you find that thing you're supposed to do, and you actually accept to let go of things in the past that weighed you down, and that's usually the hardest part, because usually that thing that you're letting go is family and friends that you're used to, but they're holding you down. Mm-hmm. The moment you do that and really take a responsibility as the author of your book, it's so empowering. It's amazing that you're literally writing as the page going on, the next day it happens. And it's, it's the whole, we don't have to get into this, but the whole universe and putting it out there, it is true. And I think that's also what changed my life, was somebody told me to watch The Secret and I did. Yeah. And I'm like, holy crap. That's like, that was mind blowing. And now I'm watching more stuff and knowledge. Yeah. So yeah.
Something that just came to me. What if someone can't figure out, because you're so sure about what you want to do. What about for those people that have no idea and they're coasting?
No,
Like
it'll come. The coast is part of the journey.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you're about to surf. Before you catch the big ass wave, that big perfect wave, you're gonna sit out there for a while, and you're gonna coast, and you're gonna try to get one, and you miss it, and you're gonna try it, and you're gonna miss it, and you're gonna get up and fall, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna catch it, but you don't know when you're gonna catch it. You just have to believe you're going to catch it. So the coasting part is part of it, right? And one of the things I told my kids a while back, and I said, and part of it was being overly dramatic, but it was also to prove a point, was I said to my kids, oh my God, I found out what the secret of success is. Oh my God, I found out what the secret of success is. And my kids were like, what is it? What is it? He goes, no, you gotta listen. If you do this one thing, if you do this one, and I did swear at the time with my kid, if you do this one thing, oh my God, I guarantee you're gonna be successful in whatever you do. Oh my God, it's so exciting. I just figured this out. I can't believe I'm gonna do this. What is it? He goes, just don't quit. And they looked at me, oh, Dad, you're so funny. I said, no,
one
really.
wants to believe it because it's so simple, right?
But it is. It's not quitting, right? So all the creative things that you do and all the things, a lot of them are going to be failures, but failure is not a bad thing. Failure is actually the opposite. It's an amazing thing. When you fail or you lose a job or you get divorced or whatever it is that the society deems a failure or a bad thing, that's usually a sign of you're going to level up.
It's going to be good.
If you allow yourself to level up, right? If you allow it, it will happen. But if you sit and kind of, just like in the suck and you're like, and whatever, then you're not going to learn from it. Then yes, that's a bad thing. Failure is now a bad thing for you. That bad thing that happened is a bad thing because you didn't learn from it. But if you actually take it and get excited by, oh my God, I'm about to level up, huge things are going to happen, right? Huge thing. So these people that are coasting, don't worry about it. It's going to happen. But you have to believe it. You can't quit. You got to keep persevering. You have to try different things, but don't not try it because, oh my God, I'm going to fail. Try it because you're going to fail, right? You got to do it because you're going to fail. And if you have that mentality of going towards failure every single time and then learning from it, you're going to get to your wherever you're going a lot faster, right? So the coast, I coasted. I think I coasted throughout my marriage. I'm sorry, but I did.
Oh, man,
and I take full responsibility for that.
That's hard to admit, my friend.
Yeah, and I take full responsibility, and I apologize to my ex-wife and my kids. I coasted because I wasn't happy. But that was part of it. I had to feel that thing and realize. But now I have really, I believe I have a really strong relationship with my kids because they know that their dad is doing what they're doing, and I tell them the stories. You got to do it. You got to keep on doing it. You got to keep on doing it, and support them as they support me. But that coast was part of it, right? Every day is going to be a day, and you just have to look at it. It's okay. Tomorrow's going to be a better day, or if it's not, the next day, and just believe that it is, and just keep on going and don't quit. The wave will come in, and you will catch it, and you're going to be like, "Geez, that was so freaking awesome." So yeah.
That's encouraging, man. Dude, I have to stop this because we got too many gold nuggets. I might make this interview worse if we keep going.